job, girls.
You're on TV.
Okay, we're on item E, discussion and potential vote to accept a donation from the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts will attend to make a presentation and offer a comprehensive donation to West Wenham Park.
We're going to put it up for you. Go ahead, Alice.
Today we are talking about donating $500 to Cape Mallory. My troop 77609 are trying to donate a Gaga Ball pit for the West Wenham Park. I think a Gaga Ball pit is perfect because it is good exercise for everybody.
I believe that a Gaga pit would be great for the town and the community because Gaga Ball is something everyone will love, and it is very fun, and it will be good exercise for everyone. I think the Gaga Ball pit will really bring people together because it's very fun and everyone will come and play together.
I believe that a Gaga Ball pit will be nice because you can use your strength and have fun, and it will be a good place outside. Thank you, Troop 77609.
This is my picture of the park, and this is what I think it should look like because I think it should have a Gaga pit and a basketball hoop next to it so people can play. And then I drew hopscotch on the basketball pit so people can play hopscotch too. What's this? So this is one of my friends. She didn't make it today, so I'm going to read it for her. The Gaga pit will help bring people together. I believe that it will be nice because people will love the pit. We sold 2,000 boxes. Troop 77609.
I hope a Gaga Ball pit would be good for the community because all of the community can play, including other people that don't live in this country. Everything will be super good because lots of people have been working on this for years, and now other people can play that haven't got to play that many times. And And I hope everybody will inspire us when we do this. And I hope everybody will go into Girl Scouts because we have the best leaders.
I want a Gaga Ball pit. I think a Gaga Ball pit will be good for this park. I drew a picture of people playing Gaga Ball, and it will really bring people together to make friends and like say, hey, you want to be friends? I saw you playing Gaga Ball. And so they could play together and make like a whole team together. We are also talking about little libraries. One is half filled with aid kits and the other is half filled with jump ropes and other toys too. And the other little library is filled with books that are donated from people for all the ages. And I also drew a picture of one that is for a book library and for the aid kits and toys.
Rachel.
I think you should, Abby, go in front of the lectern and put that up so everybody on TV can see it.
All you girls go up.
Yeah, everyone go up.
Can I say thank you? Thank you so much!
There you go. Nice.
Figures. Let's go. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Girls, take a seat. The board might have some questions for you.
You want the motion?
What's that?
You want the motion?
Yes, please.
All right, I move that the Wenham Select Board accept a gift from the Girl Scout troop of $500 towards the construction of the Gaga Ball pit, as well as 2 wooden community libraries to be built and painted by the Scouts, along with the over 100 first aid kits individually packed in 2x2 boxes.
Second?
Ready to vote? Peter votes yes.
Deirdre, yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Jerry, yes.
One more hand of applause. Deirdre.
We'd like to take 30 seconds out and take a photo with everybody. That's okay.
Yeah.
Girls, you want to grab your check?
Karen, want me to take it so you can get it?
Take one step forward. You can go first.
Ready? Say cookies. Yeah, perfect.
One more.
Yeah, do you want to come back? Yeah, I'm gonna zip back.
You want to stand up? This is fine. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
So I think I need to read all. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, there's one more. Wait.
Really cute.
That's awesome.
I said, which cake?
I just seen this.
job.
All righty. Public input? Purpose for public comment on matters falling within the jurisdiction of the Select Board and not on the current agenda. Note, public comments on specific agenda items with a public comment period will be deferred until those items are reached. Rules, 2 minutes per person. The person may speak once, 10 minutes total. All participants wishing to address the Select Board during public comments may do so in person or via Zoom by virtually raising their hand. Speakers must identify themselves by name and street address. The Select Board may not deliberate or vote on matters discussed during public comment but are not on the agenda. Okay?
Hi, I'm Jessica Leggett. I'm at 49 William Fairfield Drive, and I have a statement for which we collected almost 150 signatures from Wenham voters, and we'd like to submit it for the record. Dear members of the Wenham Select Board, we, the undersigned Wenham residents, respectfully request that the Wenham Select Board support the school consolidation project and honor the vote of the duly elected Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District School Committee to place the school consolidation article back onto the warrant at the upcoming June special town meeting. Thank you. And then I'd like to present these to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me.
Edward Flynn, 2 Sias Lane. First of all, I support Gaga Ball. I had the pleasure, Karen's not here right now, but I had the pleasure of stopping by her booth when she was selling cookies one day with her children, and it was really nice to see the kids out there doing that. So I was at the Hamilton Planning Board last night, and they received a citizen's petition that you may already know about, mandating that the school consolidation go on to a special town meeting within 45 days, and I think that date's been set. They had a time when they had to do it by. I'd mentioned your cookies and how great that was to stop by and buying from you that day. And congratulations on tonight. That's fantastic. Sorry. And I'm wondering, so did the town of Wenham also receive the citizens petition? I just heard that nice woman rallying you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What's that?
We received a citizen's petition?
We have, I've heard it's coming, but
Well, Ms. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, Ms. Leggett just gave us a petition. I don't know what it says.
I think the statement was this,
I mean, she read the statement, but I'm not sure what, if,
was it a petition to add an article or just to support the statement? Okay.
Okay, so maybe you don't know. So Hamilton received a citizen's petition signed by 200 verified signatures, which they accepted last night at their meeting, mandating a special town meeting within 25 or 45 days. I think it was 25. I'm not sure.
45.
But 45. Okay. Of whatever the date that they received it, and they're going to go ahead and do that, and it's been taken out of the hands of the select board. But you haven't received one of those.
You're right.
I'm correct. Okay. Do you have, and you don't have that on the agenda tonight, whether or not you're going to vote to put it on to special town meeting?
we do.
Oh, you do. So do you want me to wait until then?
Can I just say one thing? Because I think it may.
I don't see it on the agenda.
Well,
So
on April 9th, the board voted unanimously to put the Cutler consolidation project on our June 9th special town meeting if the school committee so requested, and the school committee did so request. So, at least in my mind, we've already decided the question.
so that's a de facto vote, is what you're saying? Yeah.
It's a de jure vote. It's an action. We took a
Yeah,
vote.
well,
to-
you may or may not have to re-vote, but I understand.
Yeah.
So if you've already made that decision, I'm not going to lobby that. I do want to also thank this board and a majority of this board for being bold enough to take on, and I'll forget the initials, is it EOHLC or whatever it is, the division of the state that you and Weston and I guess Duxbury have all decided to take the right path and challenge them on that. And I want to wish you God Godspeed, and I hope that that comes out in our favor. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
Finn Sprague, 55 Arbor Street. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee here in Wenham, but I'm not speaking in that capacity. I'm just a resident of the town. Got 2 minutes, so I'm trying to go through this really fast. I apologize. So a majority of Wenham residents voted for the new school, and we were 20 flipped votes away from the 2/3 threshold. I believe that the measure would have passed if it wasn't for the huge federal tariffs that were announced just 2 days before and have since been rolled back. I'm confident that we'll see passage at the next meeting. Hamilton, though, seems to be a different story. Many Hamilton residents are voting against the proposed school because they would like to keep neighborhood schools. Net of grants, it will cost the same $90 million to bring Cutler and Winthrop up to code as it would be to build that single new school. To completely modernize those two schools out of their embarrassing state, the bill is $210 million, and we're not going to get a dime from MSBA for a decade. So Hamilton kids will be waiting 10 years for acceptable schools, or we can forego a grant and pay more than twice the cost of the proposed single school. So by voting down the new school with its 12% increase in property taxes, Hamilton residents are asking us to pay to renovate Hamilton schools at double the cost. Are you ready for a 25% increase in property taxes? The path Hamilton is taking us down does not make any sense. If the vote doesn't pass, the town of Wenham should take steps to protect itself. The regional school agreement is in negotiation now. The select board should instruct Wenham's representatives to separate the capital responsibilities of our neighborhood schools. Wenham folks can be responsible for Bucher, while Hamilton folks can take full responsibility and 100% of the tax burden to renovate Cutler and Winthrop. Let me remind you that only 45% of Cutler and Winthrop kids are meeting or exceeding MCAS standards, compared to 71% of Bucher kids. Bucher is the better school and in better shape, yet Wenham residents are ready to do the right thing and vote for proposed new school. Instead of Cutler's kids being taught in classrooms without sprinklers and Winthrop kids trying to learn under a leaky roof, we want both towns' kids to be taught together in a building that facilitates learning, not distracts from it. We're ready to invest in a common elementary school system that treats all of our kids equally. But if the measure doesn't pass, I expect Wenham voters will balk at any elementary school plan that serves only Hamilton students and costs more than the single school most of us want. If the measure doesn't pass, Hamilton can expect to languish with their current structures for the next decade or more, or pay for it all themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Finn.
Hi, Marjorie Gajewski, 7 Perkins Street. I was employed by the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District from 1983 to 1999. Primarily, I was the secretary to 3 directors of special education. So it's not that I don't have any good things to say about schools. And I'm not against paying more taxes for schools. It's just how they do it. I'm here today to urge the select board, who are elected representatives, all Wenham taxpayers, and capital expenditures and law of the town, to vote no. You haven't opened the warrant, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We will this evening.
Pardon me?
We will this evening.
That's what I thought. I'm asking you to please vote no for a revote of the elementary school, and I'm asking you to vote no to adding it on the warrant. April 5th, the taxpayers of Wenham voted 2/3 against the consolidated school. Every single vote, everyone attending matters. My vote matters. If you cancel our 2/3 vote with a special town meeting, what precedent does that set? It has actually already set a precedence where our votes did not count regarding Miles River School. We had to vote, revote, and revote 3 times before the school committee wore us down and got the vote they wanted. And what will stop our local boards from canceling our votes and again in the future? We all know we're going to pay higher taxes to keep up our small schools, but there has been no cost analysis comparing renovating our small schools versus one monolithic grade school. We were mandated to vote without knowing what the optional views were about the renovation and what we will cost, and we deserve to know the difference between this and that and judge for ourselves. I expect my in-person vote should be legal and counted and not discounted because the school committee did not get their answer they wanted, even jumped through hoops to attract the vote of the parents in all the district by offering extra rooms to bring their children with them and offering babysitting at the Cutler School. And not one bit of outreach was done.
That's 2.5 minutes.
End of my sentence. And not one bit of outreach was done to help the
That's
seniors.
2.5 minutes.
I do expect to pay more taxes to keep the schools, the small schools. But we have not been given a cost for renovations. We would appreciate that.
Actually, all of that information exists. All of that information exists. And I'm sorry, you're almost to 3 minutes, so thank you.
I haven't said.
And I would just add, we talked about this the last time you were here, but there is outreach to seniors through the senior center, and we do have a senior center director. And my suggestion the last time that you brought that up was to reach out to Jim Reynolds if you know of seniors who needed assistance, and I would say that again. I'm going to reiterate that. I'm going to reiterate that for a special town meeting, if you believe, and if anyone out there, the seniors need assistance with transportation and getting to special town meeting, that we do have a senior center, and we have a senior center director who is plugged into the community. Please do get in touch with him.
Belong to the senior center.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot of people who aren't.
But you don't have to belong, the senior center is for everyone in Wenham. But everyone is free to contact the senior center, okay?
Good evening, Matt DiGiuseppe, 38 Maple Street. I'm going to be a lot less articulate than Finn was, but I feel like his point needs to be re-articulated and amplified. I actually urge you as a select board to send an unequivocal message to the town of Hamilton regarding the elementary school project, specifically that the school consolidation represents the most fiscally sound path forward for Wenham as a town. However, should the project not achieve the vote required, I think Wenham cannot and should not bear the financial burden of renovating the Hamilton schools based on an uncertain promise of future reciprocity. In such a scenario, it is imperative that Wenham acts decisively in its own best interest. This means we must be prepared to leverage the open regional school agreement to change it so that capital improvements, I think Finn said this better than me, are the responsibilities at the elementary school town level of the towns that that the schools are located in. I believe as Wenham residents, we want a technologically advanced, engaging learning environment for our students, not the spackle and paint that some Hamilton residents seem to be advocating for with their low-cost renovations. And so, just to make sure there's no confusion, if the vote fails, I think Wenham needs to make it very clear that we are not going to be the piggy bank for the Hamilton renovations. Thank you.
Anybody online?
Anyone on Zoom? If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. No hands raised. Oh, I'm sorry. There's... Nope, no hands raised.
All right, so then we're going to go back to our first item of business. 1, Select Board reorganization, nominate and elect board members to serve in the roles of Chair, Vice Chair, Secretary, and Financial Officer.
I'm sorry, can I just ask a question? Because she brought it up and it's confusing me. It's my understanding that at the special town meeting, and you're going to recommend that we have the vote for the school consolidation, that, you want me to go up there?
Yeah.
So I apologize.
We've closed public comment, have we not?
Yeah, we're done. I'm sorry, we're done.
Okay.
So,
They haven't changed the two-thirds vote, right?
No.
Would anyone else like to ask the same question that hasn't spoken yet?
So it still needs to be 2/3 vote?
Yes.
So.
The question was, has the threshold changed for the vote at town meeting? It has not changed since the annual town meeting. It is still a 2/3 threshold. Okay, but now we've closed public comment.
Done. All right, so I know I'm not supposed to do this, but can I anyway?
Can you what? I don't know. What are you going to do?
I nominate Deirdre Parati as chair of the select.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and I would like to do it, but this, given things in my personal life, is not the year for me to do it. So I regretfully have to decline. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would like to, yes, thank you, though. But I'm going to nominate Ben Timon for chair of the select board.
I second.
I actually was going to nominate Gary Cheeseman for chair.
I think we should stick with
think we
new
have to-
blood. Not that Gary's really old blood, but
Gary's eternally young blood.
Got a nomination and a second already, right? So
Right.
we got to go to that vote.
all right. So voting for Ben Timon as chair. Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes.
Ben, yes.
Gary, yes.
Karen, no.
Okay. I nominate Karen as vice chair.
I very much love the,
Loathe that?
no, love too, but I very much love the idea, but I will piggyback off of Deidre and say I have obviously a lot going on in my life, so I would regretfully decline, but thank you for the offer.
All right, so here we go. Give it one more shot. I nominate Gary Cheeseman as vice chair.
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Are you,
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Peter votes yes.
Deirdre, yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
All right.
I'm willing to do it, just put that out there. Clerk.
Oh, awesome. So I nominate Deirdre Parati to be the secretary.
We call it clerk, but it
Second.
is.
Second.
All right.
Is it a
All,
clerk or-
all in favor?
It's clerk.
It's clear.
All in favor? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
That's
What?
it.
You're a financial officer then, right?
Oh, jeez.
Well, if I- unless somebody nominates me.
Well, I nominate Peter Clay as financial officer for the select board.
We need one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Second.
Protocol.
All right, second.
Yes.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Peter votes yes.
Hi.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
All right, there we go.
Okay, let's see.
Now it goes to Ben.
No, oh, that's right.
But we can stay in our same seats, I think.
You want to switch?
No, it's okay. It's all right.
One last night.
You're good. Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate my colleagues' support for the chairmanship. And that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which, if I'm reading the agenda correctly, is the town administrator's update and town announcements.
All right, so a couple updates this evening. And first, I just wanted to commend Joe. Joe was recently accepted into a pretty competitive program. It's a partnership between Suffolk University and Mass Municipal Association, their HR seminar. So he started his first class last Friday. Right, it's all day on Fridays for a number of Fridays. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Marty Lowerly, I just want to thank her. She annually does, every springtime, does the plantings as you walk into town hall on both sides of the door. So she did it this year, and they look great. So thank you, Marty.
Marty and the Garden Club.
In the
yes.
garden club. Eric Mansfield, they have gotten for the second year in a row the It is called the Drinking Water Awards by the New England Water Works Association for the quality of Wenham water. So the Wenham Water Department and the Water Commission and Eric Mansfield deserve.
So I went to that
Yep.
event, wherever the heck it is,
Devon's, I think.
Devon's, and it's actually very cool what they talk about there. There's a lot more behind what that program is than than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And on the theme of water, the Water Commission voted on April 30th to implement a water ban on all non-essential outdoor water use effective May 1st, 2025, due to the significant drought, and will be in place until they lift it.
Have they looked outside recently?
I said the same thing, but evidently
It's not enough.
it's not going to the right places. That's what I was told.
Could I just ask a question about
Yeah.
that? So I've had a number of people just comment on the fact that the complete water ban, rather than sort of the iterative bans that we've had in the past, where some hand watering is allowed during certain hours and so on.
Or 10 after 6 or something.
Right. That's come much earlier this year, and I think people have been asking me, why that is, and so I know that it's largely directed by DEP and by the consent order that we're subject to, but it might be useful maybe at the next select board meeting to invite either Eric or Ernest or someone just to sort of explain, for the public. Not to say the Water Commission meetings aren't public, but I don't know that they attract a great deal of attendance, having been a member of that body many years ago. So perhaps we could, set that up for the next time, just to sort of have a brief presentation on the reasoning.
Sure. We also, a number of months ago, we filed for a grant for a decarbonization roadmap technical assistance award. Wenham was awarded that.
Oh, great.
So we just found out the other day. So it's, Deirdre can probably articulate it better than me. Something about our carbon footprint and our starting
To be able to
spot.
design a roadmap, yeah, it's money to help us do that.
Got it.
Kind of
That type of roadmap.
Kind of say where we are and where we want to go, and things that we can put in place to help us achieve where we want to get to.
Excellent.
And then Wenham, again, for 2024, earned Tree City USA recognition from the Arbor Day Foundation. So Kate, Gary, and everyone's hard work on that program. Thank you.
Sorry, Stephen. I don't think we've mentioned, we might have last meeting, just Susan Smith has started in our assessing department as well,
Oh,
working
right.
with Terry. She was doing a great job. She's been here about a week, hit the ground running, and I'm really excited to have her. She's the new assessor's administrative assistant, so.
Yep, had a good point.
It's a lot of good news.
Great addition, yeah, yep, great addition. And that's all I have this evening.
Chair's report.
Oh, okay, thank
All
you. Right. A couple of things. One of our constituents mentioned during public comment a lawsuit that the town has filed relating to 3A, and we're not going to get into great detail on that, but I did want to make the public aware that this Friday, May 9th at 10 a.m., there is a court hearing in Bristol County Superior Court in Taunton, Mass. The reason it's down there is because our lawsuit is consolidated with some other towns, including some that are in that region, and the judge who's assigned to it is sitting in that courthouse. But in any event, the motion for preliminary injunction that we filed alongside the lawsuit, which asks that Wenham be made temporarily exempt from 3A, and that we be not required to do certain things until there's a final ruling on some of the requests that we made in that 3A lawsuit. That'll be argued by our counsel, Jay Tallerman, on Friday. And presumably within, a few weeks of that, we would get a decision from the courts. I just wanted to make folks aware of that.
Thank you.
I guess the only thing I'd like to mention is that the Generals baseball team is really good this year, and you might want to go stop by when the weather's nice and watch some of their games. They're really good. They have a kid who's going to go play at Notre Dame. So, and they're not undefeated, but they've only lost one game, league game.
And I would just like to say thank you to Chief Kavanaugh. I was finally able to do my tour of Wenham with him, which I've heard about. It is as fantastic as I have heard. Nobody knows this town better. And the chief was exceedingly generous with his time and taking me to all the different corners of Wenham and explaining all kinds of things. It's an incredible learning opportunity, and I'm deeply appreciative of the time that he took to do that with me. So thank you.
Yeah, and I've got one more. So this past Saturday was opening day for the Little League, and amazingly, they have the most participants they've ever had. So, you know, it's a big deal. There are a lot of kids playing Little League, baseball and softball.
And we should say thank you to the fire department, police department that led the parade
Right.
Saturday morning.
Yep.
So I have a couple of quick things here. We have Bike to School Day, which is happening this Friday. It is going to be taking place at Pingree Park. The kids are going to be then riding their little hearts out to their elementary schools. All are welcome to come and cheer them on. They'll be lining Porter Street full of excited parents taking their photos. So that will happen roughly between 7 and 7:45 on Friday morning. Thank you ahead of time to the police and the fire for jumping on the bikes as well and escorting the kids to school. So we're looking forward to that. I would like to just say a quick thank you to my colleagues and everyone in this room for accepting our Girl Scouts. They've been working really hard on that presentation for quite some time. So I appreciate the what are they, pomp and circumstance? Is that what do they call that?
Sure.
And regarding office hours, unfortunately, my little Abby will be undergoing surgery in a week, and I will have to take a quick step back from office hours to tend to her. She and I will be home alone watching many movies. That being said, I'm more than capable of answering emails or phone calls at that point, but unfortunately we'll be a little housebound with our little one for a few weeks. So I apologize for that, but please feel free to reach out, and as soon as she is up and running, I will make sure that that is top priority.
Good here.
Great, thank you. All right, that moves us to our consent agenda. Routine items for approval in a single motion, allowing them to be passed without discussion unless held. And the four items are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of open session minutes, 2, the appointment of Sergeant David March as Wenham Special Police Officer for a term May 6th, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. 3, appointment of Marissa DeLucia as a full-time Wenham Police Officer from May 12th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. And D, discussion and potential vote to sign the Hamilton Wenham Library exterior painting contract. Do any members wish to discuss any of those items separately? Chief, would you like to speak to any of those?
Yeah, if I could, just real quickly.
Sure.
We're lucky to have Marissa with us here. I'm going to put her on the spot. If you could stand up and say hi to everybody.
Hi.
We're very, very lucky. We did a real intense recruitment process, and Marissa, she topped the process. She did a really good job. So she's got a master's degree. She's full-time certified. She put herself through the police academy. So the town of Wenham and the Wenham Police Department is very, very lucky to have her. I'm super proud. And thank you with Sergeant Marsh for allowing him to stay on as a special. As you all know, he just retired, and after 30 years of service public safety, and it's just a small token to allow him to work in that capacity. I'm super appreciative that I know Sergeant Marsh is as well, so I just want to thank you, and Marissa was here to say hi, so you guys can put me with the face. When we get Marissa formally sworn in, we'll do a more event that we'll have family and friends here to be part of that. So thank you so much.
Soon to be congratulations as we go through this vote. I'll entertain a motion for approval of items A through D on the consent agenda.
I move to approve items A through D in the consent agenda as printed in this evening's agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. Thank you. That moves us on to new business. Items for individual consideration. These items will allow for public comment of up to 10 minutes per item. The comment period will allow for individuals to publicly comment, and that will occur, that opportunity will occur after the board's discussion of the agenda item. For public comment, there's a limit of 2 minutes per person, and a person may speak only once, and as noted, it's a 10-minute total for public comments in any particular new business item. Item E under new business is discussion and potential vote to, nope, I'm sorry, we did that already, so thank you. So now we'll move on to item F, which, if the time is right, Steve, is the DCAM presentation.
Yeah, if representatives from DCAM could just raise your hand so we can identify you quickly and move you over to panelists.
I know one is Raina.
Steve Andrews.
Yep.
There you go.
Crowley.
Those two.
Sharon as well. Yep.
Yeah. Sure.
Hello?
Hey, Raina, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting us. Tonight, I want to make sure you know, first of all, I'm Raina Rubin. I'm a senior project management manager at in the real estate group at DCAM. And also tonight, we have Deputy Commissioner of Real Estate and Leasing, Paul Crowley, and also the director of the real estate group, Steve Andrews. So hopefully we can answer questions and, you know, get a good sense of what the town is interested in for 24 Cherry Street. So I believe it was last summer that Commissioner Backey was in talking to you and I think the delegation about a large realm of options for this property. And we were asked to come back and discuss what we think are the most practical ways forward for the town to consider. So why don't you go to the next one? So 24 Cherry Street, you all know, is a former group home residence. It was managed by the Department of Mental Health. They closed in 2015 because it needed upgrades, and the analysis revealed that it was really just too costly for them to do. So it has been secured and remains closed. You know, it's about 2,160 square feet. Excuse me, it's historic. And it sits on a parcel of about 0.79 acres. Next. So as I said, initially there were a lot more options, but we've been asked to come and just discuss what we think are sort of practical ways forward for this property. The intent, I think, is to consider how to best get it back into active use so it just doesn't remain vacant and decay. So we have come up with 4 options that we'd like to sort of outline for you and, you know, discuss further as you would like to know about them. One is a sales partnership with the town, where you have a much more active role. I'll go through each of these. A competitive sales process, which is sort of the traditional request for proposal that DCAM would manage, and a similar competitive process, but a quicker way through an auction that DCAM would manage. These can all be done through existing legislation, the Housing Bond Bill and the Affordable Homes Act. And then the 4th option we put in just mostly for comparison, which a lot of towns have done through the years, is where they would like legislation specifically that directs the disposition to the town, and then the town takes control of, the whole process. Next. So the sales partnership, the time frame that we developed was really sort of beginning to end, even though some of it, you know, permitting and design construction really our DCAM was not really involved in, but we thought an 18 to 24 month time period, we use them for all options, was sort of reasonable if you wanted to look at the whole process when it would be active. So under the Housing Bond Bill, which I think most people call it the Affordable Homes Act now, but it allows for us to enter into an agreement with the town where you have more control over the whole process of the disposition and the requirements and how it's done. And also part of this agreement is that the town gets to share up to 50% of the revenue from the sale. Excuse me. The one thing that is, well, two things are required under the act. One is that the only use that's allowed is residential on this property, and the other is a minimum density of 1 unit per quarter of acre. So in this case, that would be 3 units on the site because it's, a little over 3/4 of an acre. It takes about 6 months, we think, to go through what our process requirement is. We have to get official surplus from Department of Mental Health. We get a historic determination from Mass Historic Commission. We also are required to send out notices to towns and certain other agencies and give them 30 days for comment. And then typically during this time, we would also conduct an appraisal. This particular option, there would be a term sheet that would between us and the town as to how this would all happen and the revenue sharing and all of that. The process for the disposition, the RFP, the notices, the proposals, the evaluation, selection, 12 to 14 months would cover that. And also for the selected developer to do their due diligence, purchase and sale agreement, survey, title, payment, all the things that would go to closing. And then we figured again, as I said, about 18 to 24 months for permitting and construction. That's under the control of the town with the developer. Okay, next one. This is similar, except that we would take care of the process with the town's input, but not the town control. We would still have to do all the disposition types of things with the surplusing from the Department of Mental Health, notice to towns and agencies, Mass Historic Commission determination and appraisal. The requirement for the property would still have to be only for housing with the same density. The process is similar, maybe a little quicker, maybe not, where we would develop the RFP, we would do all the notices and the evaluation and selection. The town would consult with us, but they wouldn't have a formal role there, I guess is the way I would put it. And again, the developer selected would do the due diligence, purchase and sale, and payment and recording. And they would still be working with the town directly for permitting, design, and construction. Next. The third option is very similar, DCAM, one back, 3, yeah. But it allows us to do this through an auction instead of an RFP process. This is, instead of doing an RFP, we do what we call a project information package. It's called a PIP. It's very similar, but the process is shorter. We bring in a professional auctioneer who knows how to deal with state property. We make sure they understand this still can only be developed for housing and still has those same requirements for density. But they do the notices and they do distribution and they handle the auction. And then when the bidder is selected, then it's 30, 60 days to closing. They don't get as much time for due diligence, but they still have purchase and sale agreement, they still have payment, they still have closing. And then that successful bidder is still responsible to the town entirely with the permitting, design, and construction. So all those 3 options can be done, so we can start them. Actually, we have started some of this already under the Housing Bond Bill. We have already started the surplus process with Department of Mental Health. I already submitted a project notification form with Mass Housing Commission, so those will be taken care of this month. But the 4th option, can go to the next one, would be separate from that. The town could decide that they wanted to take control of the property. We would have special legislation directing it to them. You folks, you would pay for the appraisal and the appraised value and anything to deal with, the process. we can support you, but for the most part, it goes to you. The one thing that I have in here about legislation in 2025, because real estate bills actually are on a 2-year cycle, it may not be till the 2026 session. Just saying, it will be a much longer period of time, I think, to get this property back into active use. But this is an option that many communities do select. So we wanted to let you know how it compares with what we would recommend. The rest of it's the same. We still have to do the surplusing. We still have to do RPs, and you would do all that kind of thing, but it would be it would be done the way you want to do it. Next. One more. There we go. So this is just the summary. We presented four options that we think, the town should consider. 3 of them under the Affordable Homes Act, which is a sales partnership, where you would have more control, DCAM RFP, DCAM auction controlled. Of course, I just mentioned the directed disposition with new legislation. For the timelines, the auction option is probably the quickest to get this back into productive use. And of course, if you had new legislation, that would be the longest amount of time. The most revenue to the town is probably if you do it, you get your own legislation and do it yourself, even though you bear all the costs, you still get all the revenue, and you control the process and the product. The other 3, the sales partnership, you would share in the revenue, could be up to 50%. The other 2 options where DCAM runs the request for a proposal process and the auction, all the revenue would come to the Commonwealth. But we do, just to be clear, we do see this as somewhat of a partnership. We're going to work with you however you want to go. And this is just, our presentation for discussion of the kinds of things we think would work for this property. But we want to hear your thoughts, answer your questions. And again, you want to get more into the act or anything in more detail, I would then open it for questions. The next slide is just questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rubin. Appreciate that. Do any members of the board have questions for Ms. Rubin?
And what you want us to follow up with, anything you want us to do.
Can you go back a slide, please?
Sure.
There we go.
Do you have a question there?
I don't have a question.
Okay.
So I think just one, it appears to me that the timelines are pretty much not a decision point, as they're pretty much all the same. So I think what we need to look at is to decide, what in-house capacity we have for handling this whole process as opposed to sharing it with the Commonwealth. And I think that's the first thing that we get to decide, and then we'll look at the revenue and final decision.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Excuse me, I don't think I have a question, but on first blush, to me, the sales partnership makes sense. And I think partly because of the bandwidth issue, because we have a lot of projects already on the books. It's not appreciably different in time, and the revenue share, I think, is reasonable. So that's my first opinion.
Steve? Okay. Steve, do you have a view on the question of in-house capacity and whether you think we could pull off direct disposition?
I mean, I think it depends on how the board wants to prioritize the other projects. We, probably could pull it off, although, as Deirdre mentioned, and it's true, we do have a lot of things going on in the pipeline, and this would be, at least for a small town, a relatively large project to take possession of it, then dispose and develop it. So I think it would just, continue to explore. I do like the idea of the sales partnership. I know Raina said they would be with us every step of the way, but I think being able to utilize their expertise and experience in this and dealing with developers and making sure we get what we bargained for would certainly be appreciated and valuable.
Are we taking public questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there is a hand raised on Zoom.
Yes, I think we have someone here in person as well.
Mr. Andrews would like to just add something, I think, if you...
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'd like to just add a couple of quick comments. On the directed disposition, although we're targeting 48 months, that's when someone from your delegation sponsors legislation, and that could take longer. There's no guarantee anybody that's dealt with the legislative process to guarantee that it will come out in 48 months. So I think that's a caveat that we should mention. The other thing, just to clarify on the sales partnership, we convey it to the municipality. The municipality then puts out the RFP and is in the front in terms of marketing the RFP, making the selection, holding the property. If there's any outstanding cost to maintaining that property, meaning, to keep people off the property or to have the police come by to make sure there's nothing going on, those are things that the municipality would be on their cost. So I just want to make sure that we're clear with the sales partnership that you're taking full receipt of the property, you're marketing the property, you're dealing with all of the disposition items that comes with that. And then once you sell it, we then share in the proceeds. So just trying to clarify those two, just so that we're all on the same page.
That's helpful. Thank you. I think just on the revenue side, I mean, none of us in this room, I don't think, is an appraiser, but, I could be wrong, or at least an assessor. But we're talking about a piece of property that would be sold to a developer or someone who flips houses and would be doing essentially a gut job. And I don't know whether we have an assessed value on the land or not, but... We do. Okay. Right. No, that's okay. I mean, my sense is that, at most, a property like that would sell for maybe $600,000 at the high end, given the number of, the work that would have to be done. That's just a kind of a blind guess. And then, so I'm thinking about whether we might be doing sales partnership, for example, where we'd be getting half of the sale proceeds versus 100%. And then we're, probably would want to budget in $100,000 for the costs that were mentioned. Maybe it wouldn't be that much, but anyway, just to sort of frame, I think, an analysis on how much revenue we might potentially be giving up were we to not do direct disposition, and it seems like it might be, $200,000 or something. So I don't know whether that's, meaningful to folks in terms of picking a path.
So perhaps Steve we could draft up some ballpark numbers on that, and then come back to this issue on the next board meeting. Because I think, as we all know, this has been sitting there for a long, long time, so we need to get something started here.
I'm sure the neighbors aren't happy.
So we will take public comment on this, and I see a gentleman who's standing up here, so we'll take any in-person public comment now. If you want to come to the podium, sir.
Sure. Thanks.
We'll go
I'm
to
Dennis
virtual.
Early. I live at 26 Cherry, right next door to the property. I've been there 25 years, so I hope the board would take into consideration the pain and suffering that we've had next to the property with the decay, rodents, and so forth. So I'm hoping that no decision is made on partnership or purchase at this time, which I think you had alluded to, Gary. I would like you to take into consideration some of the neighbors who have been talking about this property for 25 years. And one of the questions I would have is, this woman mentioned the Historic Commission. And I don't know if we have to abide by current, if it's to be refurbished, what rules are applicant here in terms of setbacks, design, so forth. In my view, the house needs to be torn down. It's that bad, and that's why the residents were kicked out, because it was unlivable, and it's only gotten worse. So my thoughts are that the 3/4 acre property is going to be redesigned, and I kind of want, I kind of feel like, although it's not legal, the town would recognize our tenure, our time here, what we've had to endure, that when the redesign happens, there's a little bit of thought into the size of I assume it might be more than one property, the layout, kind of like the light and where it's located on the street. It all will affect kind of urban land use and development. So if you're a board member who doesn't live there and you live on the other side of town, then it might be kind of not in your backyard, so to speak, and not relevant. So please just be mindful of the relevance to the people in the neighborhood.
I think that would end up in front of the planning board.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the historic district extends beyond Main Street. No, okay.
Well,
I don't think it does, but I've heard over time that it did, and there was a conflicting piece, so.
We have an historical commission as well. It's the same entity. They're separate, but they're the same board, if that makes sense.
Right.
But it's not in the district, but we do have an historical commission that potentially could come into
Might
play.
be like an advisory or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Well, I think the last time we talked about this, I thought we were told that we have to allow by right zoning for like a quarter acre per unit. I don't know if DCAM can clarify that. Was that right?
I think that's
Yes,
That's correct.
1 unit, or there would be a minimum of 3 units. It's 1 unit per quarter acre.
Right. Okay.
3 units an acre. So that would be the minimum, 3 units on that,
just
I think.
for all except for the direct disposition, or does that apply to all?
All of them except for the directed disposition under separate legislation.
So at least theoretically, if it were direct disposition, the town could condition a sale upon, for example, a single-family unit, if the special legislation, I guess, allowed it, or?
I would say that could be, but I mean, the legislation, I can't speak for what the legislation would say, but
Sure.
it would be specific in that legislation.
Right.
To craft it the way
I see.
you want to craft
Greater flexibility anyway, and greater control on the part of the town.
it. Right.
But the requirement for 3 units, that doesn't mean that they would have to be detached units, right? They could be attached, such as condos or something, townhomes, I mean.
I would think so. I mean, we have thought about trying to do some little design options or something, but certainly we would want it to encourage the developer to fit in the character of the neighborhood. So, it's a long site. There may be some opportunities for things to not be quite as, in your face on the street, to move back and not to be higher building. I mean, I don't know, but I think it could be a variety of housing types.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board before we, Jeff, you had something?
You were asking about the valuation.
Right.
And so this property, the building is valued at $171. The land is valued at $540
Right.
For a total of like $712.
Okay, yeah, so I wasn't too far off. Okay. Are there any other members of the public in the room tonight who wish to speak before we go to Zoom on this subject? No, is anybody on Zoom? Joe, did you say there was someone?
No, that was just someone from DCAM.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I think we're all set, right? We'll, yes.
26 Cherry Street. So as far as, Michelle Hurley, so as far as the property going to private auction, how is that information, if that is the route that is decided, how is that information disseminated into the town? Like for people that live in the community to be aware, if there's a family member or someone that would be interested in going that route, like moving forward, will this, aside from these small meetings, will this be shared? I know there was an article in the front of the Hamilton Wenham paper a few weeks back, and the multitude of texts and messages I received from people just about, hey, what's going on? So if it is to go that route, how is that shared throughout the community?
I could answer that question if you'd like.
Please do.
So pretty much we hire an auctioneer. That auctioneer puts together what we call a property information package. He advertises in the town. He will contact the town to figure out how do we get the message out to the community as well as the development community. Believe it or not, the auctioneer that we use has about 35,000 people who will engage in auctions. A lot of them are developers. We also have a list of close to 1,000 developers, real estate professionals, people in the real estate sector who we also send the message out to. So we do our due diligence to find out how do we centralize that message to the community? Where does it need to go? Where does it need to be posted? We do post it in the central register, but we post it where the town finds it appropriate that it will reach the audience and the folks within the town. So the auction is really, it goes through auction, but then it goes through permitting, it goes through the normal development cycle that a town would have as a municipality. So it's really no different than an RFP. It's just called an auction in terms of once a developer is selected, they meet permitting, they meet with the town, their design is reviewed by the town, just like if we go through an RFP or whether the municipality goes through the RFP. So it all goes through the same system, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Does that address your question, ma'am?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am, could you come to the podium, please? And then if you just state your name and address as well.
I'm Debbie Hurley, and I'm at 26 Cherry Street, 26R. A question on about the auction posting. Does that have to go into the local papers or certain papers for so many weeks before the auction can take place?
Yeah, we usually will talk with the auctioneer. We usually would do either 30 or 60 days of marketing the property. So it goes in the local paper, it goes in the central register. We will reach out to the TA to find out, what are the other good media outlets that inform the community about it. But that's if the town elects to go auction.
The auction, right, okay.
Yeah.
But it does have to be legally put into the papers or for so many
Absolutely.
weeks? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
My last question would be, when would the decision be made by the board to determine any one of the four options, which I don't
Right.
fully understand?
I think we have. I think we've been given a lot of information this evening. I think we're looking to get a little bit more information internally to help us help inform us on these options and maybe to direct disposition in particular, whether that's practical and feasible. But I think everyone's interested in moving this along, so I would imagine that at some point within the next couple of meetings, we would probably bring this back and try to make a decision.
And if I could, let me just add one other comment that I think I didn't. The auctioneer has a website, DCAM has a website. So as we put the information out, the information is also accessible through our website as well as the auctioneer's website, which provides the PIP, which we call the Property Information Package, and provides all the information relative to what anybody would need to know relative to the property and the rules in terms of going forward with an auction. We close in 30 days. Afterwards, and then it goes through the normal zoning and permitting process. So I just wanted to add that last little piece because I think I left it out.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Andrews and Ms. Rubin. I think we're all set for now and move on to the next item. Appreciate your presentation and your time.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us on to the the signing of the warrant for the 2025 special state election, which is, I believe, next Tuesday, May 13th for state representative. Is that right?
Michelle will pull it up. I think you're right.
Okay, so this is, this is for Tuesday, May 13th. Thank you. Precinct 1 in Wenham, which is in a state representative district with the city of Beverly. And there's a special election to fill that seat. And do I have
Ready for a
motion? Yes.
Move to approve and sign the warrant for the 2025 special state election.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll vote now. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon is yes. That passes 5-0. All right. Next is the warrant. Discussion and potential vote to open the 2025 special town meeting warrant, incorporate any necessary changes based on discussions, and vote to close the warrant. Special town meeting date is expected to be held on Monday, June 9th. I believe it's 6:30 start. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, the board never settled, but it was talked about 6:30 or 7. That would be one of the points we'll need clarification on today.
But I'd entertain a motion to open the 2025 special town meeting warrant.
Second?
And we'll vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon, yes. So the warrant is open.
We have, Mr. Chairman, we have Vicky here, someone about
Yeah,
Euchre,
we
and
just-
also Bill Garbati.
All right. And so Michelle's notes. And then go to, we'll stay on this page. All right, so before I get into the contents of the warrant, why don't we take a moment to, Monday, June 9th, we'll confirm the date. Start time, 6:30 or 7?
6:30.
All right, moving down, we have a number of backup meeting dates that coordinate with Gordon College. We figure we'll be proactive and have the meeting date set and sent with the warrant this time. So if you want to look at your calendars, we have 11th through the 13th or the 16th through the 18th.
We could say that.
So wait a second.
11th through what?
Yeah, June 11th through the 13th or the 16th through the 18th.
And these are open dates for the Groton College site?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Now, we don't anticipate needing these dates, but we figure instead of scrambling on town meeting floor at a later date.
13th, 14th, 15th?
No, 11, 12.
11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18.
16, 17, and 18 is not good dates for the town. Those are the last days of school, followed by a federal holiday, I believe, on Thursday. The high school has already graduated at that point, and so my anticipation is that we're going to lose a good amount of folks. So I would suggest anything from the 11th and 12th. Friday the 13th just sounds like not the best day to have decision makings. So I would propose either the 11th or the 12th, and that's fine for me.
Anybody have a conflict on either the 11th or the 12th?
Have we checked with the moderator?
Yes.
Yes, the other dates.
That's good.
All right.
11, 12 sounds good.
This is at night, right?
At night, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
11th is better for me than the 12th. I could do the 12th, but since the 11th seems to work for everybody, maybe we should pick that as the backup date.
So do June 11th, 6:30 as well.
Sure.
Okay.
6:30 or 6? We have
6:30 for both. Like, this is just,
Okay.
I'm going through and confirming, was just the draft. Now, if you want to scroll to the very last page. So this is a list in order that they appear in the article, in the warrant. Couple things. So Vicky Masson is here. Joe? did you
Yes.
say? Yeah.
Yes, she is here,
So Vicky
yep.
is here on behalf of the school committee to provide more information on the utility easement. So remember last time the board had a discussion on the granting of a utility easement for electric vehicle chargings at the Bucher School. There was concern with the location and the impact on the traffic flow during pickup and drop-off. So the school committee would like us to revisit that, and if possible, put it on our special town meeting, because if we were to defer it any longer, we would lose the grant money and would have to go, reapply, and there would be no guarantee that you would get the grant money again. So if you want to promote Vicky to...
She is, yep.
All right. Vicky, are you with us?
I am here, yes. Good evening.
How you doing, Vicky? So I think, Michelle, did she have some maps to share?
Yeah, I can just go down to the last page of that.
Yeah, maybe when she's done.
Perfect. Well,
Go up to the map.
Going the wrong way. Oh, no.
oh, there's two maps actually, so we can start here. I'm happy to give an overview, Steve. Should I start with that?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, sure. So I think there was some confusion. This is the document from National Grid requesting an easement, and all we need the easement for is one pole, which is the darkened pole there. I can't see the number, 453-2, I think. That's the only thing that's going to be new. Those 4 hollow circles are existing poles. So we're granting them the easement to install this one pole to get the service across the driveway to serve the 2 new charging stations. This has been to Eric Tracy, it's been to Curtis Whiteman, the facilities director, it's been to school committee, and actually the prior facilities director helped pick these 2 spots for charging stations. So if you could scroll up to the Voltrek proposal, there's a site plan of where the stations will be and where the new pole will be. And there's also going to be a control cabinet. Yeah, this one. So the large symbols on the right are just a legend, and the smaller symbols on the left side of the map are where the actual stations are going to be. So there's going to be 2 level 2 stations, 2 2-port stations, and then the yellow is the new pole the National Grid is asking for, and the orange is the new control cabinet with the meter and service. So initially, this project was intended to feed the fleet vehicles for the school department. They have, I think, 3 pickup trucks right now, and they park them right in those spots. So that's why we selected those spots, because at the time there was an interest in converting maybe to EV trucks one at a time, and they need charging infrastructure. So that was kind of the concept. We applied for a grant and got it. It's fully grant funded. And Voltrek is ready to go. We just need to get through this easement piece. So I'm happy to answer any questions beyond that you all may have.
I just have one quick question. I know it came up last time, and I'm curious myself, is, although it doesn't seem to be impactful to the layout of the site because they are off to the side with the parcel boundaries, but in the event in the future that, the layout of the site would have to change, whether, continue to be a school site, but they had to build another school or whatever, is the town precluded from moving the location here? Or, are these charging stations, like, is the easement the charging station locations as well as the pole, and they're kind of here to stay forever?
The easement is just for the pole. Okay. The stations we're going to own, the town's going to own, so we don't need, an easement to put something on our own property. It's just National Grid needs the easement to put that extra pole. As far as moving the stations in the future, that would probably be difficult because they're going to be on concrete pads.
Well, yeah, no, I understand. I just was, thinking even like 50, I don't know how long, like if it was an easement and it was permanent, and 50 years from now, you're looking to do something else, and you have, Voltrek have some sort of profit sharing or something, and they're like, oh, no, you can't move, this has to remain a charging station indefinitely. That was my only question.
No, once they're installed, the town owns them and can do whatever they want with them. We do have an obligation to the granting agency to operate them and report on them for a 3-year period, I think, from the date of mechanical completion. But beyond that, they're the property of the town, 100%, and you all can decide what you want to do with them into the future. Voltrek has no say.
Vicky, Peter,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a quick question. Have we had and I'm sorry for my ignorance with the number of residents on Bruce Lane, I think that abuts that. Have we had conversation to have the residents weigh in, the ones on Bruce Lane as well as the Currens on Arbor Street?
We haven't, to my knowledge, involved the neighbors. I mean, it's all on school property. So we did not notify the abutters.
That to me would be something that would not only be courteous, but I would love them to be able to weigh in on that.
The new utility pole that's marked, I think you said already that is definitely on town land, correct? It looks like it could be near the property line, but that's town land where the large yellow dot is that right, Ms. Masson?
Yep. That's why they need the easement. Yep. And the reason this took so long is we had to prove to National Grid that the town owns the land. That took a long time, but we finally did, and that is town land.
Right.
How high is the utility pole?
It would be the same as what's there. There's, there's 4 kind of taking the power down the driveway and into the building. So it would be similar to what's there, just one more across the driveway.
Right, but what is the height of that? I mean, to me, you're looking like you're putting that pole directly in the back of somebody's backyard. I understand there's an easement needed, but what is the height of the pole?
Let's see if it's in the easement. Let me look there.
Is that Bruce Lane? Is that?
Yes.
That?
So
I have to.
This is to
I have
put
to
it on
find that
hold,
out.
right? That's what we're discussing.
Yes.
Yeah, this is just clarifying
Just-
questions of why you deferred last time.
Yeah, I have to find that out. It's not specified in the easement that I see.
Okay. Do any other board members have any comments or questions about this being on the special town meeting warrant? Seeing none,
I think it's great, though. Thank you, Vicki, for getting the grant for
You're
this.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
This is great news.
Thanks very much. All right, so Steve, I think we'll go back to the list of other items.
And I thought, thank you, Vicki. And so I thought for next up, if the board's okay with it, we could take up, I know there's a number of folks here from Spring Hill. And, I believe last time we left it, we were here and had a brief conversation with the board. And the planning board made a recommendation that we place it on the warrant with an agreement in place that the homeowner association continues with the operation and maintenance plan, and we have, and additionally the lien or the document that would go with the property that has the obstruction of the access easement into the retention pond in the back to grant us, access in the event we'd ever need it, and also to hold us harmless if any damage was done to the property accessing it in the back. From my understanding, those documents are completed, and Sharon, who is with us right now, Sharon, are you online?
Yes.
Yep.
I am here.
So generally they've been reviewed. Am I accurate there? And everybody is in agreement that, I don't want to speak on behalf of all the residents at Spring Hill, but is in agreement that everybody in the homeowners association would be willing to sign a document that allowed the town, if ever in the future, they're essentially saying that they will continue to maintain the operation and maintenance plan indefinitely, and the town, if for whatever reason it has to go in and do work in there for the interest of the ability for the public to pass safely and for public safety vehicles to access any of the homes there, that the town would be able to recoup the costs in their signatures, allowing the town to lien if they were, the homeowner association was not to reimburse the town could place a lien on the properties and ultimately at some point recover the cost. And I believe that's it. That covers about everything. I don't know if I misspoke or if anybody wants to clarify.
Steve summarized it correctly. Those are what the agreement says, and as you know, we have the stormwater maintenance agreement as well as the agreement on that the Hershens lot.
Mr. Goodman?
Yes, Andrew Goodman, 2 Angus Circle. Thank you to the Select Board and newly elected Chair, Mr. Timon. And Steve, that was a great summary. So the Planning Board at their meeting a couple weeks ago made their recommendation that street acceptance could go on the warrant, subject to a couple conditions, which Steve outlined. Those legal documents have been negotiated, as Sharon confirmed, between our attorney and KP Law, Sharon herself working on those documents. I think we've provided them to Steve at his request, so you all have them. I think we've done everything the town has asked, both the Planning Board and the Select Board. And, we also, just so everybody knows, on last Monday at the Conservation Commission, they discussed our annual inspection report, which we submitted again this year as we're supposed to. Kate was obviously there and reported that everything looks good. We've done what we need to do and continue to do that. So I would, on behalf of the HOA, respectfully request that we be included on your June 9th warrant. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does the board have any questions for either Mr. Goodman or Attorney Everett on the readiness of this to go on to the special town meeting warrant?
I just have one. Can I just make one?
Yeah, please.
Clarification. So the documents, they haven't been signed yet, correct?
That is correct. They just got finalized, and we just got, we have had several meetings with the HOA members because everybody needs to sign these documents. So we want to make sure everybody was comfortable with them. I'm happy to report we all are, and everyone's going to sign them. The understanding from the Planning Board, the conditions was that they get signed before the June 9th meeting, and they will be.
But I suggested the board, if the board wishes to include it in the warrant tonight, since we are looking to close it and move forward with the mailing process, that you hold off or could hold off on your recommendation to town meeting until the documents are signed, which would be, you make it on town meeting floor, the documents are signed by town meeting, and anticipating a positive recommendation.
Just as a general matter, are you expecting that the board is going to make recommendations on each of the special town meeting warrant articles tonight? Is that needed?
Yeah, that was
for the timing.
That's been my assumption. Yes.
Okay.
And I will too point out, the reason why it's going to take a little bit of time to get everyone to sign them is because they not only need to be signed, they need to be notarized. So that just is another ministerial step that we got to coordinate 17 notarized signatures with multiple people signing for each household.
Okay. Yes, Margaret.
I just wanted to let Sharon know that, Sharon, I have the document.
Margaret, they can't hear you online. Wait, Joe's got one. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Sharon, I just wanted to let you know that I just sent you the plan that has the correct layout on it, and that's the one we should refer to in the warrant article.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Anything else for Mr. Goodman or Attorney Everett? Thank you. Thank you both for your time and for all your efforts, working through these many issues. And I know it's been a lot of work. So thanks. So with respect to the rest of the items, Steve, are there any others that we should single out for discussion? Because I know we've talked about all of these at one point or another, but I don't know if there are any that have additional discussion. Okay.
Yeah, one more I want to pull out. Yeah. And so that is Article 2, I'm just going to make sure it's right. So the number 14, article to authorize the town to at least tow an agreement for the installation of the equipment related to the town hall HVAC project. So this through preparing for agenda item I, which is the resolution of the town of Wenham to authorize the leasing of certain equipment and capital items. It was raised a concern that the town may need to vote the leasing agreement at town meeting. So as they, we got an opinion before that, said that it didn't for a couple of reasons, but as we dig deeper, and council's looking deeper into it, that she feels that we should at least protect ourselves and include it in the warrant. And if we get to town meeting and it's not needed, that the town can pass over it, or just basically to give us some more time to dive a little bit deeper. The other alternative is, and this didn't come, we didn't get a lot of good feedback on this, but we made some substantial changes to the warrant between the mailing or really just the order. I know a lot of folks really didn't like that change, even though legally the board can make the change. It wasn't very well received, but I was going to say that we do have 2 weeks before we'll be meeting again. The warrant will have been mailed, but you can open the warrant and pull it off. It won't be on the final posted warrant by the constable. So those are some options. You can either, we can kind of just move forward as it is. It sounds like there's kind of some gray area there. Or we can include it to be safe, or, or include it to be safe now and remove later if needed, or, however the board wants to operate on that. And just, so if the board wants to discuss that, go ahead.
As far as the HVAC, so it sounds like we should keep it on the warrant, but defer recommendation until the floor town meeting. And it may be that it's pulled altogether.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd suggest with the rest of these is that, given that the order and the inclusion of each of these has been subject to prior discussion by the board, that we just give an opportunity if there's anyone on the board who wants to raise an issue with just the inclusion of any of these before we get to votes on recommend or don't recommend. So are there any on this list that anybody has a problem with being on the special town meeting warrant? Barry?
No, I just had a question on the Deidre's number 10 listed up here.
Mm-hmm.
The wording, do we need to list the ex officio as being approved? But I think we need the word "or" in there, because as written, it seems to preclude select board or other members being on other committees in the circumstance where it's already in the bylaw, thinking like the CPC. So I think there's one missing word. Do we have the wording?
Yeah, and I even though I proposed Article 10, I'm not sure the wording is there yet, and we didn't actually discuss which boards it should cover. And it does list right now school committee, and I'm not sure we have
the other wrinkle,
ability to do that.
A little bit of wrinkle to that is you have the ability to have a bylaw to prevent folks from serving on multiple appointed boards. but it would be special legislation needed to, for elected officials. So that would add another article, which we still have time to do, but just so the board knows that we're not prepared for the special legislation route at this point.
Yeah, so I guess as much as I would like to do it, it may need to wait until next annual town meeting, because I'm not sure it's ready and needs a little more work and tweaking. And this list is looking long for a special town meeting is the other issue.
So,
Okay.
drop
So
10.
10 will drop off. Any other select board comments just on the question of what's included? Karen?
I had more of a conversation piece about where we're going to number them, so.
The sequence?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that now, because I want to try to get into the recommendations next, so we should deal with...
While you're ordering
Yeah.
them too, sorry to interrupt, think about consent agenda too. There's probably some of these that you could group in.
So,
Go ahead, please.
so my thought process is, in learning anything from the last town meeting, it would be beneficial to be able to put the budgetary information, so 3, 4, 5, 6, closer to the top, and where we would move 1 and 2 below that. Mr. Goodman, I also will put 8 into that bucket. But I would highly suggest that we get those done first before we approach 1 and 2. I think those are necessary for the town to be able to continue with a daily working life.
Does anybody else have any comments on sequence?
Gary?
I should think we need to have some separation between 1 and 2, so that we've seen in Hamilton and elsewhere that they get conflated. So I think they have to be clearly distinguished topics. That will make it easier, especially for Roger as the moderator, to set the boundaries on those. So I would put perhaps the budget items first, then the school, run the rest, and then the 3A.
I second that.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, so there are people out there who think that 3A is actually related to,
There's a lot of people out there that think that they're
because, which is completely wrong.
correct.
So then Karen, which one do you do first? I think you do the
So
school.
So I would do 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8, then 1.
3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 1, and then go 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so why don't we take a vote on just cementing what is going to be on the warrant, and in what order. So Karen just gave a sequence that I think there's a consensus over. Deirdre has said that Article 10 needs a little more time to marinate, so that'll come out. So I'd entertain a motion just to establish what the warrant is going to be.
You want to do that, or repeat your numbers, or I'll do it?
No, I was just staring at my
All right.
numbers.
So I move that we order the articles for the special town meeting as presented tonight as number 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 1, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2. Forgot that?
Well, at least you won't let them leave.
Do we have a second for that before we do more
Second.
discussion? Okay. Yes.
Is there a way we can, on the warrant, just consolidate 3, 4, 5, and 6 into one, so it's just one big question?
Well, it's 4 local, my understanding is it's 4 separate statutes for separate local options, but you can put it into a consent agenda, so it would just be one vote.
My only concern is the timing.
Yeah, but the consent agenda would basically do that. It would let the lid alone
Okay.
on the,
Yeah, that'd be
in the
great.
warrant.
We could-
It would be one motion, one vote.
Right. We could work with Roger on that detail, right? I don't think we have to decide tonight exactly what's going to go on the consent agenda. But we do have a sequence. So we have a motion and a second to include the items that Gary and Karen just listed by sequence.
You want to vote?
We'll take a vote. Peter Clay.
Peter? Yes.
Deirdre Parati.
Yes.
Karen Anger.
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman.
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. So that passes unanimously.
Kind of struggled with your last name there.
That's kidding. Yeah, I know. I need to find out how you stayed alert and awake as we get into the 8 o'clock hour.
8+ hours.
Okay, so I think we're ready now to go into recommendations. I do want to give the public an opportunity, both folks that are here in person and online, to make any comments that they may have with respect to whether or not the select board should favorably or unfavorably recommend any of these articles, or to take no position. And so I think the most efficient way to do that would be to take any public comment first, and then we'll close that, and then the board can just run through these, have any discussion that it wishes, and then vote on each one, either recommend, don't recommend, or defer a recommendation. So are there any members of the public who wish to speak to whether or not the select board should recommend any particular of these articles?
On that,
Why don't you,
can't see it and I can't hear it.
Come to the podium, please.
yeah, if you could come to the podium. The,
Hi, Marjorie Gajeski. I just can't see from the side and can't hear. So is the actual Cutler School on this?
it is, yes.
And what number is
It
it?
would end up being number 6 based on the way we've sequenced these.
So you
as
voted
of
to,
now.
you voted to include it, right?
We have, yeah, we have voted to include it in the special town meeting. We haven't voted yet on whether to recommend passage of it, but it is going to be on the warrant.
And the school committee voted 5-1 to put it on.
Oh, of course. And what day is, and time is the actual?
Monday, June 9th, beginning at 6:30.
I thought we were having it on a Saturday,
No, we picked the June 9th months and months ago.
because seniors don't go anywhere after 4 o'clock in the evening.
So if you have a comment on whether or not we should recommend passage of something, go for it, but we've already established what's on the warrant and the date. We established the date and time many months ago. But if you have a comment on whether or not the
That's
select
the
board should
comment.
recommend.
It's, everything is against the seniors to get there. They can't get there.
Well, I think my colleague, Ms. Parati, discussed earlier that there's a COA van that's available to anybody in Wenham, and thankfully, we have more than a month between now and then, so if you're aware of any seniors who would like a ride to the town meeting,
Is there a way to-
I hope that you'll direct them to Jim Reynolds and the COA.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, you seem
There's no
dismissive,
way
you
to-
seem dismissive of it, but again, it's available, it's a resource available to everybody. And so if it's something that you perceive as an issue, we're trying to provide a solution, and there's more than a month for
Are you going to have
planning.
multi-family rooms available like before?
I don't think that's been decided yet. I don't believe that's been decided yet for purposes of the special town
I
meeting.
hope you're fair on both, because it really is discrimination.
Any other members of the public who wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Goodman?
Really quick, so Andrew Goodman. I do understand that there's the issue of us getting our signatures before you might make a favorable recommendation. I personally would love you to make a favorable recommendation tonight. I think you have all the information you need. However, if you decide not to do that and to wait, I would just ask that, please, can we get some sort of notice if it's not going to be a favorable recognition or recommendation? I wouldn't want to get to the meeting and not have the floor, you make a recommendation from the floor that surprises us. That's the only comment I had. Thank you.
Yeah, it just, I mean, not speaking of, but if they were to give you notice, part of it would depend on the timing that the signatures were signed and submitted, because we would have to call a meeting, and likely it would be, if it's within like a week of town meeting, generally they will meet probably at 6 o'clock that night, like the annual town meeting about 30 minutes before. So when they discuss the official recommendation could be, right before the meeting.
Okay, is that
Which it's an open meeting,
okay.
and you could be there.
Okay. All right.
But just so you know that the timing would play.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have someone on Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Corsetti, go ahead. Hello, Mike. Oh, it's not there anymore.
Okay. All right, ma'am.
Hello, Jessica Leggett again, 49 William Fairfield Drive, and we appreciated your support of the school consolidation last time around with the support of the FinComs on both towns. We would hope that you do the same again to support the school consolidation, and I forget what the word you used is, but put your support behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I think that does it for public comment on whether or not the select board should make a favorable recommendation as to these items. So I think if we start going through them, and unless anyone objects, I'm thinking we'll go through them in the sequence in which they'll appear on the warrant based on what we voted. So that would start with number 3 here, which will be Article 1. Local acceptance of MGL Chapter 41, Section 19K, which allows for additional compensation to a certified town clerk. Is there any discussion amongst the board before a motion on potential recommendation?
We're not going to do each one
We
individually.
do, and we need to. We
Make a
we have to give a recommendation on everyone.
Okay.
But we can do it efficiently.
You can defer it to the meeting, but.
Right. Well, if we don't, anything that we don't give a recommendation for tonight won't go out in the mailing, is that correct? Yeah, so that's, I think.
We can do it quick.
So I would entertain a motion that the select board recommends passage of what will be Article 1, local acceptance of MGL Chapter 41, Section 19K.
So moved.
Vote. We need a second.
Second. Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
I'm going to abstain.
Karen Ager?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. Next is,
Are we supposed to give a recommendation?
that was it.
That is
Yeah,
the
we did,
recommendation.
yeah, so we voted four recommendations. So now we'll move on to what will be Article 2.
Hungry.
What will be Article 2 on the special town meeting warrant. On this list, number 4, local acceptance of MGL Chapter 41, Section 108P, which allows for additional compensation to a certified treasurer collector. Are there any comments of board members about this article? Seeing none.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to recommend passage of what will become Article 2. We'll vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Abstain.
Karen Ager?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. Next is what will be Article 3, which is listed on the list as number 5, local acceptance of MGL Chapter 41, Section 19J, which provides stipends to clerks who serve on boards of registrars. Is there any discussion about the article? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for a recommendation on that article.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to recommend this article. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Abstain.
Karen Ager?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. All right, next will be the article that will become Article 4 on the town meeting warrant. It's listed as number 6 on this list. It's local acceptance of MGL Chapter 59, Section 21A, which provides additional compensation to certified assessors or assistant assessors. Is there any discussion before entertaining a motion? Seeing none, do we have a motion on a recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati,
Abstain.
Karen Anger,
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman.
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. All right, next will be what will become Article 5 on the special town meeting warrant. And that is number 8 on this list. Acceptance of the Spring Hill Subdivision Way as a public way, accepting the Spring Hill Subdivision Road and associated easements. Just to expedite things, I would move that, that a recommendation of the Select Board be deferred until the floor of town meeting on this article.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Unless the paperwork is done sooner.
Unless the paperwork is done sooner and we meet between them.
Before a meeting,
The
yeah.
meeting. So that's an amendment to the motion. Is there a second?
But
Second.
It won't, even if we don't make it tonight, it won't make the warrant, the printed
The printed
warrant.
version.
Right, but to address Mr. Goodman's concern about being notified, if it's done before our next meeting, even though the warrant's gone out, we could still make a recommendation so they have some comfort.
And we're 100% in discussion about.
Well, I'm not necessarily. I suggested that we defer just because the documents aren't signed yet. So that was the rationale for not recommending it tonight.
Yeah, I think we wait till the documents are signed, and as soon as they're signed, if we can do it at a meeting before town meeting, then we're happy to do that. That's my take.
I agree.
Same.
All right, so it sounds like we have a motion and a second on a deferral of the recommendation, but with the proviso that if the necessary documents are signed relative to the Spring Hill subdivision and acceptance of the street, that the Select Board may recommend prior to town meeting if they have the opportunity to do so. We'll vote on that. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon, yes. All right, next will be what will become Article 6 on the warrant. It's listed as number 1 on this list, and that's the Cutler School consolidation project being presented for a second time to the Wenham special town meeting. Is there any discussion amongst members of the board regarding this article prior to entertaining a motion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion with respect to this article.
Move to approve,
Recommend.
recommend new Article
6.
6.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Unequivocally, yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. All right, next will be Article 7, which, lucky number 7, is also number 7 on this list, so that's notable for some reason. That's adoption of a creditable service supplementation in the Essex County Retirement Local Option Regulation. This will allow call firefighters and part-time officers to purchase additional service time under MGL Chapter 32, Section 42B. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to recommend passage of this Article 7. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. What will become Article 8, listed as 9 here, Finance Committee appointing committee bylaw change. This would modify the appointment procedures to avoid conflicts when FinCom members are up for reappointment. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We're ready for a vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon votes yes, also on favorable recommendation. Next will be Article 9, which is number 11 on this list. Submission and acceptance of the LAND grant authorizes submission for and use of a $425,000 LAND grant to support Greenbelt's purchase of 9 and 51 Maple Street. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timons, yes. Next is what will become Article 10, which is listed as number 12. Here, that's transfer of CPC seat from Joint Recreation Board to Open Space and Recreation Committee. This will update CPC, Community Preservation Committee, membership to reflect Wenham's creation of its own open space recreation committee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. Okay, that moves us to what will be Article 11. It's 13 on the list. Article to authorize grant of utility easement on Bucher School property, and I'm going to entertain a motion that a recommendation on this article be deferred until town meeting. Is there,
Wait, what?
isn't that the HVAC one that we're waiting on?
No,
Oh, I'm
no.
sorry.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Zickies.
All right, thank you.
Next one.
All right, so are we ready to recommend passage of that
I
one?
move that we recommend passage of article to authorize grant of utility easement on Bucher School property.
Thank you. We'll vote. Peter Clay.
Yes.
Deirdre Parati.
Yes.
Karen Anger.
I'm not saying no, I'm deferring.
Abstain?
Abstaining,
Okay.
yeah, it's late.
Gary Cheeseman.
Yes.
And Ben Timon's a yes. All right, next is what I believe will be Article 12. I hope I have that right. Someone's keeping track. Let me just make sure.
I think so.
Yes. Article 12, which is number 14 on this list. Article to authorize the town to enter into a lease-to-own agreement for the installation of the town hall HVAC. And on this one, I'd entertain a motion to defer recommendation until town meeting.
Second.
Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's yes. And then finally, what will be Article 13 is the adoption of 3A MBTA zoning. This would amend the zoning bylaw and map to comply with MGL Chapter 40A and Section 3A for multifamily housing. Do we have any discussion on that before we vote? And I do, and Margaret Hoffman does as well. So, Margaret.
I just wanted to inform the board that...
Margaret, we need a mic.
I did just wanted to inform your board that the planning board just voted to defer their recommendation on this article until just prior to town meeting.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments about this? So I think it's very good to know about the planning board, as we've mentioned, and as is public. The town of Wenham did file litigation with respect to 3A. Part of that is seeking changes in the way the housing unit thresholds and calculations are done. And if we're successful in that litigation, it would very likely change the content of the 3A rezoning that the planning board has put together. So there's a likelihood that by June 9th, we'll either know that we've been at least preliminarily successful in court on that, or we'll know that we haven't been. So for those reasons, to me, it seems prudent that we would, as the planning board has done, defer any recommendation on the current planning board 3A proposal until the floor of town meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, we're ready. Any further discussion on that? All right, we're ready to vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. So I think we have given either recommendations or deferred recommendations on all 13 articles, which I think allows us to move on to the next.
Actually, we need to move to close the
thank
warrant.
you, yes. Yeah, can we have a motion to close the 2025 special town meeting warrant?
Close the warrant for the 2025 special town meeting warrant.
Second.
All right, we're ready to vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Steve, did you have something?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. Steve?
So what we're going to do is, I went back and forth, but I think where there are still some changes, one being we're still waiting on the lease-to-own agreement warrant article to come, article language to come through, the associated commentary with that, and we are waiting on clarification on the land grant warrant articles because all the forms that we've got from DCR indicate borrowing, and we're not borrowing. So Lauren is reaching out to DCR. She says they can be very particular on the warrant article language. So she doesn't want to amend their templates without getting their blessing, saying that that's appropriate. So I guess all that's to say, I think I'll have the board, if it's all right with you guys, vote to sign the warrant at the next meeting, because then the following day the constable will post it, and that will be more than 2 weeks out, which is sufficient. And with this, maybe, I don't need a vote, but just the sense of the board that, that this is essentially the form that's going to be sent out to the residents, no more substantial, any non-substantial changes are okay, but nothing, nothing substantial beyond that presented to you here on the screen. That sounds good.
That's to me. Okay. I think we should perhaps do the speed limits next so that the chief can speak and then probably end what's been a fairly long day. So that would be item L.
Thank you very much. I'll be very quick. I know this has come up at several prior meetings, and based on our last meeting, I stand behind my recommendation to move forward with all roads in town other than 1A to bring it down to that 25 mile per hour speed limit. I've gotten, the board should know, I've gotten several emails from residents. Everyone's been super supportive, that offered to come here, offered to give words of support. Everyone's on board. I did also speak with DPW Director Souza today. He mentioned that he is on board with assisting. They have some money left in this budget that can provide for the signage for the main roads coming into town that'll say, unless posted, all roads in Wenham will be this speed limit. So we'll have those in the main roads, and then we'll slowly, into the next budget, replace some of the signage to reflect the new speed limit with, the roads that are currently posted. We'll do that. But he said he would help out in any way possible, so that was great. And the officers have all been made aware. They're all on the same team. I think it's going to be great for the officers, and I think it's going to be great for the residents. And as mentioned already on the last meeting, we're going to do a social media blitz with it. We're going to put it out so the residents and the people that live in, both live and work in town, that passing through town, can get used to the muscle memory of the lower reduced speeds. And we'll make sure the officers are educating through warning enforcement for a good period of time to get folks used to it. And then after a certain period of time, we would take more stronger enforcement action. But I'm strong support of it. I know with 4 children that are getting a little older now, but if this was in my hometown, I would certainly want it. I find very few reasons to say why it wouldn't be a good thing. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Gary?
Steve, did we clarify the MDOT rules on what streets actually can go the 20 around the schools?
Well, it has to be, we went through this before, and I was going to suggest a slight alternative to the motion, but yeah, so basically to capture that, Main Street out here is a state route, so we can't change that. Topsfield Road is, we believe, controlled by the town of Wenham.
Yeah, I did confirm that
It
today
is.
as well with Director Souza.
In that, so maybe it's not a case, but a situation where, like, around Bucher School, if the road doesn't abut the school property directly, that's the only way it can be 20 mile an hour.
Yeah,
So
that was my understanding from our previous work with Bruce Lane.
Yeah, so
It has
that's
to
why
actually-
Bruce Lane is So now Bruce Lane will be down to 25, right? So the yellow signs that were up were more informational based, that I think it's 25, but, yeah, so. So I guess if the motion could capture something that said, you know, unless law exists or a regulation prevents the application of Chief DiNapoli's recommendations, you know, the entire town will be, and that way as we're moving through systematically and changing, you know, any questions that come up, you know, folks on like, well, you said every road, and you're like, well, we'll do that.
Karen?
I have had the luxury lately to drive through the town or city of Andover,
Yes.
who has recently also changed over.
Correct.
They have done a massive media blitz as well as signage. One of the things that has been extremely successful with them is they've had members of their community be able to purchase yard signs. And so I know that there was a concern by one of the residents from like William Fairfield or other areas that they are considered cut-throughs. And one of the things that people are allowed to do in Andover is to purchase these $5 yard signs that say, that alerts people that children live here. This is now a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And so that might be something that we might want to look into for some of the residents that are still concerned that their streets are still being state highways or cut-throughs or things like that.
Right.
So
That's awesome. All right, great idea. And I know the Andover chief well, so I'll talk to him about it as well.
yeah, they have littered all over Andover. Every street seems to have one, but I think it would be really successful in this way. I alone, being on Topsfield Road, would love to be able to support that, but I know that there were some concerns on some of the other cut-throughs. William Fairfield, I think, Larchville, to be able to say that it's no longer a dragway, that as much as the signage will be done by the DPW, will be really supported by the residents.
It's great.
Kevin,
well
what
as-
about Route 22? I'm sorry, were you speaking?
I have one thing, but go ahead.
Route 22?
Yes, that would be, that's authorized as well.
Okay.
Can we just talk about Route 97 for a minute? I guess I'm just worried, what is the speed limit in Beverly and Topsfield? Because I'm worried if it's, I don't remember, though I drive it every day, if it's 40. And if that's going to be too much of a downshift and that it actually becomes hazardous.
So it starts at 30 when coming into Beverly, and then goes to 35 when you make the corner from Beverly. Then it goes to 30 again at the Maple Street, Topsfield. And then after William Fairfield, it goes to 40. But then when you go into Topsfield, it's 25.
Thank God you helped me there.
Been on this rampage for quite some
And
time.
I think the best way, in those type of scenarios, the reduced speed ahead signs, that signage will be important. And like I said, we really have to hammer the social media part of it and get out there and be visible and maybe at, I don't know if the venue's even appropriate or possible and one-stop shopping at a town meeting, if I'm able to even speak to that with that many residents there, what's appropriate and what's not, and because that's the way to do it, and that's why we're going to try to do it to the best of our ability.
Well, the other thing is you've got Emma sitting right there who can write a story about this.
Look at that. Perfect.
Well, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Please, I'll go.
Since she's listening too.
And they already have. They've noted some of it as well, which has been super supportive. And yeah, we would do that. We would put it on our website. We would put it on social media. We would hopefully get it out in the local newspapers. And candidly, I think other towns are going to see what we're doing. And I think we're going to, for this area, I think it's going to make a difference. And you're going to see residents in the area, municipalities that are similar in size, that are going to say, especially the residents with children, they're going to say, we want to do what Wenham just did.
I presume Hamilton knows what you're doing.
They will soon. I haven't talked to them about the chief about it, but yeah, no, it's I think it's going to be popular for anyone that lives in this area. This whole North Shore area is there's just really very few negatives that can come out of it.
Not exactly a negative, but just something to think about, and maybe Emma can talk about this. although I'm essentially in favor of the 25 speed limit, I know that I've experienced it and I've heard other people experience it, and I think someone spoke about it in one of our meetings. There's also the issue of aggressive driving, that if you're actually doing the speed limit, some people behave very dangerously because they don't like that you're doing the speed limit. And now that we're going to 25, that's a concern of mine. I mean, I've had crazy, frightening behavior because I've been driving the speed limit, and I just would like that to be mentioned somewhere. And I don't know if that's technically illegal, but if there's anything the police can do, if you witness it, I mean, I don't know, but it's aggressive tailgating, people swerving around you because into the other lane, it's all that kind of stuff.
Anything specific to, following too closely is against the law. Obviously, passing illegally, and there's a bunch of different scenarios that the aggressive driving in and of itself, the actions that residents or that people are taking in and of itself is a motor vehicle violation. So we would certainly take action. In a perfect world, we observe it and we can take action, but I always seem to observe it when I'm off duty or and you wish you were working at the time to be able to act on it. But no, 100%. And our officers, and I'd be glad, I don't have the numbers in front of me as well, but our officers have done a phenomenal job being out there, being visible, being active. The officer-initiated activity, I'm super proud of everything they've done. Being visible during the peak traffic hours, midweek, during the day, and the mid-morning commute and afternoon commute. And they're absolutely, in my 30 years full-time doing this, I can absolutely attest to the direct correlation that exists between that motor vehicle enforcement and the not only accident reduction, but crime reduction as well, because the visibility out there does make a difference. And so I'm proud of them for doing what they're doing.
Any other questions or comments for the chief from the board? All right, are there any members of the public who have any questions or comments about the speed limit change, which, in case you didn't catch it at the beginning, is a default speed limit of 25 miles per hour, except on Route 1A or in any other places where applicable law may differ, and 20 miles per hour in school zones. So it's a pretty dramatic change. But any public comments or questions?
What is it now?
Well, it varies. Yeah, it varies.
Yeah. Unless otherwise posted, it's 30, but it depends on the street. It varies a little bit.
Just if there's no more comment, I just have one. For the rollout.
Speak into the mic.
Sorry. As far as the rollout goes, it's not like we're gonna wave a magic wand and everything, all the signs will be up and all the old signs will be down. So I think it's going to be, we'll have to kind of talk it through as we start to do it. And, when does it become, what's the effective date? Because there's gonna be a period of time where there's 25 mile an hour signs up and say 35 mile an hour signs up. And when, I guess I'll have to work with and get the chief's feedback on, how is it appropriate to enforce it? Do you just go like section by section in town as we can change it and then put the signs up that the entire town is 25 miles an hour unless otherwise posted, or, kind of a reasonable rollout so that people aren't confused or getting pulled over when they said, I just drove by a sign that said 35 and now you're pulling me over.
Right, right. I think, based on my conversation with Director Souza today, I think it's realistic. I think we had agreed on, I think it was 8 signs for the main entry points into town. It might be a little more, it might be 10 for the main thoroughfares that come into town. Those, I think, can go up literally in one day. That'll basically say, all of Wenham is 25 miles per hour. So that in and of itself, I think that can be one hit that one day. I know, but budget-wise, he said he does have the money in his, I forget the title of it, but for that signage. The rest of the signage for the replacing all the other signs would most likely have to be the next budget anyway. But I think we can get those signs out in one day. And prior to that, I want to, with the information sharing to everybody, I would want that even before any signage changes at all, is, hey, this is going to be coming, for definitely a couple weeks anyway, to a month before we even put the signs up. So people are aware of it and expecting it. So it's not, the first time they're learning about it shouldn't be the sign. I don't want that. We didn't do our job effectively if that's the case.
Push it on social media and the light board, maybe, signboard.
Need a motion?
All right. Yes, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the speed limit recommendation put forth by Chief Kevin DiNapoli as detailed in memo to Select Board dated April 17th, 2025.
Unless state law differs, right? I think that's what Steve wanted, right?
Yeah, I think that we're not coming back.
So then,
Unless
okay.
state differs.
All right, we have a
Second.
second. All right, we're ready to vote. Peter Clay.
Yes.
Deirdre Parati.
Yes.
Karen Anger.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Gary Cheeseman.
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. Thank you very much.
Great, as usual, thank you for your support.
Thank you,
and I'll keep you updated. No, that's okay.
Can we go to J? Did we say, are we going to do I, or did we modify?
Did we take care of I, or?
We're not gonna, I think we're gonna hold off on that.
Okay.
Okay.
J.
All right, so J is discussion and potential vote to establish a charge to form a 250th Revolution Anniversary Celebration Committee. Do we have anybody to present that?
So I see this as a great opportunity for the town to get out, have a special event next summer. We've drafted a charge here that goes into fairly deep detail, but patting over lessons learned from the 375th. Not hard. I think the way to go about this is to advertise the committee, see how many people show up. And we put 9 there, but I think we can take more than that. And as we saw in the 375th, there's plenty of work to go around for more people. But I did include, towards the end, the specific administrative things so that we make sure that the paperwork gets done at the end.
Great. Great. Any other comments or questions about the establishment of a charge for this committee?
I think it's great.
And
So,
Gary?
you need a motion?
Yeah, although I was just going to, just to confirm that, Gary, you're our liaison to this either, I guess, still to be created committee officially?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, take the vote tonight if you want.
Yeah.
Advertise the opportunity to join the committee.
Right.
Make the formal appointments second meeting in June, and the committee forms on 1 July.
Great. But it sounds like you're more than willing to be the select board representative on the committee, and then the committee will decide, I guess, who the chair is. Is that fair?
Yeah, so I did not put a actual select board member on the committee.
Okay.
In the makeup, so I think Joe has volunteered, been drafted to be the point of contact on the staff, and knowing just from past practice that we need the rep from police and from fire, just because they get so involved in this stuff.
Okay. Great. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, as someone who grew up in Lexington and has truly enjoyed the anniversary celebrations that other towns have been putting through, it'd be really great to be able to share that excitement here.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that you were probably voluntold on this more than anything. But
No, I'm happy. I love history too, so.
I'm very excited for this. So thank you,
Or
Gary and Joe.
How about being from Philadelphia and working for 1776? And I actually worked for a tent company, and I built some stairs that Queen Elizabeth actually walked on.
How about West Springfield, Shays Rebellion, anyone?
All right, so, need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to establish the charge for the 250th Revolutionary Anniversary Celebration Committee as written.
Second.
All right, we're ready to vote. Peter Clay?
Yes.
Deirdre Parati?
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
Ben Timon's a yes. All right, I think that brings us to our last specific agenda item, which is K, discussion and potential.
What happened to I?
Steve said we can defer.
Yeah, we'd have to defer it, because now if it's got to go on town meeting, we're going to have to it will delay the process, which means we have to get a separate resolution which has an interest rate on it, which will lose the rate lock, and we'll have to set another interest rate, so.
All right, discussion and potential vote to approve Sunday concerts in Patton Park sponsorship requested by Melissa Elmer, Executive Director of the Community House.
Do you want a motion?
I would love one.
I move to approve the sponsorship request from the Community House for the Sunday concerts in Patton Park.
Second.
All right, we're ready to vote. Peter Clay?
Hold on. Is there money involved, or is this like nominal support?
1,600, was it?
Yeah.
All right, I missed that. Oh, thanks.
Paragraph 3.
All right, okay. All right, we'll vote. Peter Clay? I'm sorry, were you all set?
No, just wanted that to be clear.
Okay.
For the public, yeah.
All right, Peter's a yes. Deirdre?
Yes.
Yes.
Karen Anger?
Yes.
Gary Cheeseman?
Yes.
And Ben Timon's a yes. All right, we had one item of old business. We took care of that with Chief DiNapoli and the speed limits. I don't believe there are any other matters to discuss.
No, I think that's.
Do you want a motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we adjourn this select board meeting at 8:51 p.m. on 5/6/2025.
All right, we'll vote. Peter Clay?
All those?
Yes.
Deirdre Prouty?
Yes.
Karen Anger? Gary Cheeseman? Ben Timon, yes. All right.